everyone. Welcome to the Periodic Table. I'm really thankful to have Jeremy Tole here with us. He's the president of R&D at Azbil North America and serves on the board of directors. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks, Seth. I'm really looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah, so I'm not too familiar with Azbil. Can you kind of give me just a background of the company to start off?
Yeah, Azbil is over 100-year-old company that was founded in Japan as a trading company, formerly called Yamataki, and they worked with the predecessor to Honeywell for many years to bring instruments into Japan for automation. And then after 1950s, we combined forces with Honeywell in a joint venture called Yamataki Honeywell, and that lasted for many years. And then more recently, we changed our name to Azbil to stand for Automation Zone Builder, and have been under that name for about 20 years now.
Got it. That's cool. I always like to kind of hear the heritage of names and things like that. That's an interesting one. Well, and for you, like, you've been in the innovation game for a while. I'd love to go back a little bit and just kind of talk us through how you ended up getting into this space.
Yeah, well, a lot of my career has been in product management, mainly in semiconductors. I studied electrical engineering in college and then moved into some semiconductor companies that had me doing applications engineering and support for customers. And eventually I moved into marketing, product definition, and then product line management. And through that, I was very interested in how to make new and innovative products. And that kind of drove my interest in engaging with customers, to learning about what they wanted to have in their systems. And it was a variety of different end markets. So it kept me really stimulated to learn about their potential innovation. And it's very exciting to have your innovations put into a customer's products that they're actually selling in large scale.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest thing, to kind of see our ideas kind of be birthed, and it's one thing to kind of get them out into the world under our own umbrella. It's another thing to see them actually out in the world, like as part of a phone or a television or a toaster oven or whatever it might be.
Indeed.
That's really neat. That's cool.
Yeah. So fast forward through several companies, and some large and small, and doing some entrepreneurship. Eventually, I found an opportunity with Azbil to be the first local hire for a new subsidiary of the Azbil Corporation called Azbil North America Research and Development. And that was is still an entity that is based in Silicon Valley. And we modeled this after some different innovation centers that we had learned about in the past. And this has been a really interesting opportunity to move from product line centric area to more of a technology centric and prototyping.
That's really cool. And I think that being at the forefront of innovation, especially in the product world, it comes with a lot of interesting innovation and fun product invention. It also comes with some challenges, and I'd be curious to just kind of learn throughout your career. You've had a great career that's been deep in what is now the semiconductor space, and these kind of technological components are being talked about in every other sentence when we talk about AI chips and things like that. But what are some of the things that you found to kind of be the biggest challenges throughout your journey?
Well, it's been quite a long and varied journey. Most recently in the innovation space, I've had some challenges getting our product lines to adopt our technology that we're scouting out and developing. And that ends up being one of the larger challenges in the entire journey that I've been on through the Azbil experience for about 11 years now. And going from kind of coming up with having such a wide net that was cast, coming up with topics that we were planning on focusing on, and moving from that to prototyping, to coming up with business plans and things like that, to now we're largely pushing to move our technology into business units and product lines. And sometimes they're not ready for this technology, or they have different ideas about what they want to do. So getting that coordination between the technology side and the business unit side tends to be a pretty large challenge. Fortunately, I have a background being on the business side, so I understand what their pain points are, but it doesn't necessarily make it easy. There is always a challenge. And then you add the fact that we are a subsidiary of a company based in Japan, largely focused on Asia markets. We have a kind of cultural, language, distance barriers that have gotten better, but they're still in existence. So we have to always be aware of that.
Yeah. I just finished the book Shoe Dog, right? And about Nike and their evolution. And I didn't realize, I knew, but I didn't know how inextricably tied they were to the Asian markets, to Japan, and operating in that way. And it really is it's a acquired kind of approach to kind of gain that success, gain the buy-in, gain momentum, completely different culture. So that's really interesting. So it sounds as though you work with the business in order to take the innovation, R&D componentry that's being created, and then really kind of get it into market. How have you found that process to be? Is it something that now you've found to kind of have it streamlined, or are you still finding your way through that process?
Still finding our way through the process. I would say it's probably never going to be fully streamlined. There's always going to be challenges, but the kind of incremental victories are that you make a good relationship with a person in a business unit, in a product line that is interested in your technology, and then you work towards getting that product market fit that they need.
Yeah.
My group is not a product line. We're definitely advanced R&D, but we have stuff that moves forward in the pipeline that moves towards technology readiness that the product line can actually take and productize. So it's gotten easier, but to streamline this, I don't think there's any real magic here. It's more just building the relationships, building trust, and making sure that we're coming up with things that could be utilized by our customers.
And does your team operate as the central research and development organization for the entire globe, or just kind of?
No, we're one of a couple of sort of remote R&D centers. The main R&D center is in our technology headquarters in Japan. They have a large amount of engineers there, and we report into them, which is part of the CTO office.
Got it.
And there's a couple of other R&D centers that focus on R&D, but we're one of the ones that was conceived by strictly focusing on R&D, tech scouting, and innovation. So our charter is really to do those things with startup companies, universities, our own, organically grown technology, and also work with industry consortia to keep an eye on where things are going. So we're kind of scouting out trends as well.
Makes sense. Yeah. There's certainly a lot going on here in the North American market. So, I think if the present administration has their way, it'll be more, but we'll see what happens there. So if you had to identify one thing that if you could kind of solve for it that would make your innovation role easier, what would that be? Like what would like kind of lubricate the process and the way of working for you and your team?
Well, like I said before, I think getting a few of our technologies adopted by our business units and going into customers would help to gain more momentum. That would also help our team to grow so we can do more projects. I'm not finding that we're getting resistance to what we're doing. I think we would just, as a team, would like to contribute more to the overall organization.
Yeah.
From a revenue standpoint, even though we're not revenue generating, I think some of us have come from product line backgrounds and believe that we really should be contributing in that way. And we're trying, but it does take time. And I have seen good progress through the time that I've been here. A few of the things that are interesting is we get expats from Japan as part of our team, and they rotate through every few years. Then they go back to Japan and are kind of like alumni of our organization. They become advocates of what we're doing.
Right.
They can help spread the word and get us more and more traction and more credibility in the organization. That's really helped. And
That's
initially cool. when I joined early on, I didn't exactly understand the value of that, but as time moved on, I actually really think that that's important for communication and collaboration amongst the entire organization.
Yeah, I think that's a really key unlock, and especially for such a distributed organization as you have, right? I think it probably makes a lot of sense. Do you do something similar with customers? I mean, customers obviously are lifeblood in terms of innovation and being able to make these things real and commercial. Do you engage with the end customers that are purchasing?
Not on a regular basis, but we do have relationships with our sales teams, both in North America and in Asia. On certain projects, they come up with some things that they're interested in, and they will bring us into customers so we can get direct interaction with their technologists and learn what they need so we can help to specify and create product definitions for new things we'll work on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see more and more innovation organizations starting to try to bring that customer advisory board, so to speak, a little bit closer to the process, because I think it endears them and makes them part of the innovation ecosystem. So that's pretty cool. So what's on the horizon? You're doing a lot of different things, grown a fairly sizable team. What's on the horizon for the next 6 to 12 months on the innovation agenda?
We have some projects, some shorter term, some quite longer term, that are being pushed forward, and some of them are being accelerated. So we're making a lot of good progress on them. So I think part of it is just keep doing what we've been doing, but there's also kind of an interest in having a stronger R&D, global R&D organization in the whole company. So participating in that type of mindset and initiative is really exciting, but that does take a lot of effort and a lot of coordination with groups throughout different areas of the globe.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't say or ask what like part does AI play as part of kind of what the way that you're approaching the next many months, years, dare I say?
Yeah.
How did that as a factor?
Well, like many people, we've been experimenting with some AI, mainly internally, because with R&D, we have to be careful what gets disclosed outside of the organization.
Sure.
So we're using internal AI agents to help with sparking some innovation ideas, doing a lot of the things that AI is pretty capable of these days. Again, it's sort of like you've got to take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because it's not going to be able to think through a lot of the things that we're looking at from an innovation perspective. I mean, maybe someday there will be AI agents that will be able to take over, but currently not. We have been using some agents to help with patent applications to suss out prior art and different things along those lines, and that's worked out pretty well, but it's pretty early in what we've been doing with that. But it's helps to augment our team. And then from a product standpoint, we do use AI for things like building automation and doing things like occupancy sensing and the data schema and other things that would help to optimize energy efficiency in the building automation business that is part of what Azbil does.
Yeah.
So there is activity going on, and definitely we have people that are focused on that throughout the overall organization. So I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to use it to the extent that it makes sense.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's to the extent that it makes sense. I think a lot of organizations have tried to eat the elephant a little bit, right? And they the perception is, you're going to full automation or something. Really not the reality. And maybe it's more how do these AI capabilities work better with the core R&D, research and development team and capabilities to magnify the results that your team ends up producing, engaging customers, engaging the sales team and things like that.
Right.
So on the resourcing side, like if you were to have a crystal ball and an unlimited set of resources, like what do you think that would unlock for you? Is there is it a speed element? Is it we can kind of advance in other kind of ways? Like, have you thought about that?
Yeah, it definitely would speed up our progress on, especially with my engineering team, with the prototyping that we're doing. We have resource constraints like everybody does, but if we were unlimited, of course, that's going to speed up the efforts to getting some of these new technologies into the hands of our business units and our customers. I also think with more resources like funding of different investments and things like that, we can engage more with startup companies and even university collaboration and offer more sponsored research funds to different universities that make sense to collaborate with. So I think it's, again, speeding things up, doing more of what we've been doing, because we have a solid strategy, but we'd like to compress it and try to staff things more appropriately.
Yeah, makes good sense. I mean, you have such strong thought leadership that, the human capital is a quintessential component there.
Yeah.
Where do you see the industry in general going in the next years, months?
Well, our company does pretty much two major areas of business. One is building automation, which for us focuses on optimizing energy and working with heating and venting, air conditioning systems, HVAC systems. And we're trying to make sure we're not wasting energy on areas where we don't need to be air conditioning and heating. There's going to be more of that. However, since COVID, a lot of people have not been coming back to the office. So there is a little bit of concern about how do we adapt to that, but it hasn't really been that much of an issue. It seems there is more opportunity. The other area is in industrial automation, which has things like factory automation and process automation. So things that are related to manufacturing and oil and gas and things along those lines. So those things are always going to be needed. We're always going to need products. We're always going to need energy and water and things that transport things around, valves and a bunch of larger industrial components. And we do a very good job with building these things. And I think that's not going to go away. Even like in North America, we have a large opportunity to grow if a lot more industries coming back to the US. Of course, we are headquartered in Japan, but we do make really strong products that would be of interest to any area of the world.
Yeah, no doubt that the globe is going to continue to innovate in these automated industrial capacities. I think that many of the folks that I talk to they're seeking this kind of innovation. Many of them are looking for partners like yourself to actually innovate on their behalf, right? Because they're like, we need to do it. We just don't have the team or the resources to accomplish that. And so it's a really interesting moment in time where you almost have this extended innovation agenda that extends into the customer base as well. And just on the space side, if it's any consolation, I just read something that New York occupancy now is surprisingly higher than it was before COVID, New York City. And I think that they set a lot of trends, so hopefully that's good for what the rest of the back to office kind of workforce movement looks like.
Yeah, pretty interesting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think we'll wait and see on that one. There's a lot of folks who like to work from home, at least part-time. So, well, this has been great. Do you mind if I run a few lightning round kind of questions by you and just kind of get your 2 cents? I love doing this. So, what is one tool or resource that you found to be game-changing for both you personally as well as for you in the business context?
Well, I would say recently this tool that we're using for patent, helping to research and kind of sanity check different patent stuff that we're doing has been really helpful. Not quite as much for myself because I don't do, in my role now, I'm not doing as much patent development, but
Sure.
For my team, they've been really pleased with that.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Cool. Is there any piece of advice that you've been given related to innovation, AI, just kind of your journey that you think has been sage advice?
Well, I think it's just keep smiling, keep the faith on this stuff, because there's been a lot of instances where we try to do innovation early on and it hasn't been the right timing, and we were too early, but then we kept plugging along at it, maybe putting some things on a back burner, but keeping the back burner kind of simmering for a bit.
Yeah.
Then eventually you'll hit the timing if it's meant to be. And then I tell my team, be careful what you wish for, because it might come true. So if you want to push something and you kind of keep that consistency and perseverance, that is something that you can make things come true if you believe in it.
Patience is a virtue, most certainly.
Indeed.
I think that it's there's a lot of eagerness to get at the answer immediately, but there's a lot of wisdom in being able to look at the long game and be patient to kind of navigate that time frame and getting from A to Z, so to speak. Excellent. And would that be the same kind of advice that you would give someone who's earlier in their let's say innovation journey?
Yeah, I mean, I speak to some people in like MBA classes and younger innovators, and I think the patience thing is definitely important. I'm a pretty patient person normally, but in some of my career, I've had to be impatient because you have a revenue number that you got to hit or something like that. So
Always.
You have to keep pushing. And sometimes you need to step back and just understand that things are not quite ready for what you're promoting right now. And then eventually it may be ready, but you also need to understand when to stop with the current innovation, because it may not be the right thing too. So there's a little bit of a reading the tea leaves and figuring out what's going to be right for that timing and what you should focus on. Because
that's why leadership is important.
Many shiny objects out there.
Most certainly. There's always something else to run after. Well, that's been great. If you don't mind me asking, I always love to kind of get guidance on a good book or other kind of resource that you find stimulating. Anything that you would guide our audience to?
Oh gosh, recently I haven't been very up on reading, but I think I've been going to some innovation conferences that have been really helpful for me, where there's been a lot of support from other people in similar roles but in different industries. So I would say that's been helpful in sort of an innovation therapy sense, that if you can find those types of organizations to kind of join up with, it'll help you out a lot, and there's a number of them out there that are pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, is that community matters. There's I don't know, I'd say enough to go around, and you don't have to be terrible, even though we need to preserve the business and so on, but certainly sharing the method and how-tos of growing these kind of capabilities is something that I think really helps cultivate this this concept of innovation and make us all better.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you taking the time. This has been delightful, and I think our audience is going to get a kick out of it. So thank you again.
Thank you, Seth. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye for now, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.